So what close date do we want to put on your contract when you are the buyer making an offer to the seller? Hi, this is Linda Hardwick with the Hardwick Properties Group, powered by eXp Realty. And when you're getting ready to schedule the close date on your contract, please be aware that the seller can negotiate that part of the contract. And so typically, it takes about 30 days for a lender to close a mortgage loan. If it's a VA loan or a jumbo loan, those can take up to 45 days to close. So you want to keep that in mind when you're scheduling the close date. If you're paying cash, then we're not dealing with the lender, and then it's really the title company's constraints. And then the title company usually needs about 7 to 10 business days on a cash deal to be able to run the title search and get all that work done. So you can close even faster on a cash deal. But ultimately, remember, the seller is the one who's going to negotiate with the buyer on the close date. The seller may not have enough time to move and get out of the house within that 7 to 10 days, even if you are paying cash. The other thing you want to consider when you're putting the close date is the market conditions. If it's a highly active market, there's lots of activity, lower interest rates, tons of buyers, then surveyors and appraisers can get really backed up, and that can ultimately delay the closing. Now, the other thing you want to be careful of, if you're the buyer, let's say that you decide, well, you know what, we want to buy this house, but we don't want to move for 3 months, so we don't want to close for 3 months. Please be aware that the seller wants to close as quickly as possible. And I advise my sellers of the same thing. And here's why. A lot can happen in that 3-month period. And while it's, these are not happy things to talk about, people can lose their jobs or people can pass away. Financial situations can change. And so sellers are wanting to close as soon as you possibly can. Now, let's just say that you're not going to be ready to move for a couple of months, and the seller may need that extra time to get themselves moved as well. You can close within that 30-day time frame, that 30 to 45-day time frame, and then the seller can do a lease back where they're actually going to close in 30 days, which now means you as the buyer own the home. And the seller will lease it back from you for an additional 30 days. But please be aware, again, the seller has to be willing to make that negotiation. And any kind of lease back needs to be negotiated on the front end of the transaction. And here's why. Everybody in this transaction is making plans to move. They're packing. They're hiring movers. So all of that negotiations for a leaseback needs to be done right at the front end of the transaction. So that's how we want to determine our close date for the contract. If you guys have any questions at all about the real estate process or the real estate market, please do not hesitate to contact us. Again, this is Linda Hardwick with the Hardwick Properties Group, and we are fiercely focused on client satisfaction.